So let's get right into this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start reading the description of what the pack is all about and everything about it. So the pack is called Pokemon TCG Pocket Mythical Island. Okay, and here it says the Mythical Island will be released December 17th on the iOS and Android. It will contain just one booster pack, which is Mew. It'll have a total of 80 cards, including 5 trainers, 5 Pokemon EX, and at least 2 immersive Pokemon are confirmed. The theme basically goes into saying that the theme is where Mew lives on Mythical Island, blah 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 blah, which is centered on around Mewtwo EX, and the set includes a second star of the first movie Mew with Mew EX card. It also contains a mythical Pokemon Celebi and Marshadow, so that's pretty cool. So we already know we're getting obviously the Mew EX, which you can see on screen here. We're also getting a Celebi and a Marshadow. I don't know. I'm assuming they are not EX, considering it doesn't say EX at the end of the name. So this is the Mew card. The Mew card is a 130 base Pokemon. It's Psychic, and it has one attack called Psyshot for a Psychic Energy, a single Psychic Energy for 20 damage, but it's really the second attack, which is like super duper important, and it's called the Genome Hacking. Choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. So the thing about this card is it might seem very similar to Ditto, however it's very different. For Ditto, you need to have the exact cost for the energy, meaning if you're trying to copy Starmie's attack, you need exactly 2 water energy. For this attack from you do not need the exact energy. You can have any energy on the Genome Hacking attack and you can copy it. And not only that, but if it's a 4 or 5 attack cost, you still only need 3, because that's how much Genome Hacking takes, which means you can copy Mewtwo, you can copy Charizard, and you can copy Blastoise. Now, the only thing for me that's a bit confusing is maybe something like Charizard, where you have to discard Fire Energy. If you don't have Fire Energy on it, 1, will it even work? 2, do you have to discard Fire Energy? Meaning, if you don't have Fire Energy on Mew, do you discard any energy at all? And also, same thing with Mew. If you're not playing the Psychic Energy, do you have to discard? Although I don't know, I don't remember if Mewtwo has to discard specifically Psychic, but definitely for Charizard, it has to be Fire type. And then the same thing goes for like Arcanine. Like if you have to discard a Fire type energy, does it even work? And if so, does it not discard 1 if it's not a Fire energy attached to Mew? Now, this card in general, I think is going to be super duper strong. 1, it's going to go directly into Mewtwo decks like instantly. The baby Mewtwo probably gets replaced. For 1, this card has higher HP and a lower retreat cost. I don't know if it will 100% just straight out replace it. I think it will, but you also don't really want to be tanking with a low HP EX. You want to be tanking with a high HP non-EX, and so there is that bit of a difference there. But yeah, you put this in a Mewtwo deck. He already has the Psychic energy in that deck, so you can still use his first attack. You can also, when you're facing other Mewtwo decks, if you can use Mew EX as a Mewtwo, and when you're facing Charizard, you can use Charizard's attack for just 3 energy, doing 200 damage. That's going to be completely insane. This card is going to be completely broken. The one thing I will say about this is, 1, it'll definitely make Mewtwo decks better, but Mewtwo might have a harder time against Pikachu decks now, because it will copy Pikachu's attack, but it will not be able to get the additional damage from having lightning Pokemon on the bench, because you're not playing lightning Pokemon on the bench. So it's so interesting. Like, I almost wish this card didn't come out, because 1, it like literally helps the 2 best decks in the game currently. It helps Mewtwo because it just makes the Mewtwo deck better because you put it in there, and it kind of makes the Pikachu deck stronger, because when Pikachu's playing Mewtwo, the Mew EX doesn't work as well in that deck. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, this is a really super duper cool, interesting card. But we'll move on. So the next card here is Aerodactyl. And it's an Aerodactyl EX, and I'm kind of glad they came out with this. And it's so interesting. So before I even get into the ability and the attack, the thing about Aerodactyl EX is it's a fighting type, which is cool because it's strong. We have another Pokemon that might be strong against electric types. And for just 2 energy and 80 attack, that's pretty good, especially on like a pretty decent body. So it's basically the same body as a Wigglytuff EX, with the same attack but less energy requirement. However, because Aerodactyl, I guess, is also a flying type, it's weak to electric. So even though it hits electric for weakness, it also gets hit for weakness against electric, which is super annoying. Why can't we just get a card that is not weak to electric? Like, it makes no sense. It's so frustrating. But anyways, let's get into the we already talked about the attack. Let's get into the ability. Your opponent cannot play any Pokemon from their hand to evolve their active Pokemon. Now, if you read this really quickly, you probably think this card is super duper broken. In fact, there is a card that was in the paper TCG, and it was called, I forget what it was called, but it was also a fighting type, and it was also a fossil. It was a bird type. It was from a different generation. But it had a very similar effect, and it was so broken that it had to be banned. Like, it was literally banned from the game because it was so broken. But that's only if you read this very quickly. But if you read it really slowly and you read it word for word, notice it says they cannot evolve a Pokemon from their hand. They cannot play a Pokemon from their hand to evolve their active Pokemon. So I don't really know how strong this is going to be. In fact, I think people will probably think this card is like super duper strong, and then they'll find out like kind of quickly that this is not as strong as you think, because again, it's the active Pokemon. So when you're playing the 2 decks that you worry about the most in the meta right now, Charizard and Mewtwo Gardevoir, those Pokemon that have to evolve are usually on the bench. So again, another thing that frustrates me, although I am very happy this test coming out, I'm going to do a ton of testing, new decks, new everything. I'm so excited. But again, the 2 top decks, or the top decks in the game, aren't really getting any weaker. They're kind of just getting stronger. And if people start playing Aerodactyl EX, it actually makes the decks that aren't that strong even weaker. So for instance, like a Starmie EX deck, if your Starmie or your Staryu is in your active spot and you're trying to get it filled up with energy so that when you evolve it into Starmie EX, you can start attacking. If you have an Aerodactyl EX on the field, it just kind of like stops you from doing that. So these decks that need that push are not getting that push. So they're getting weaker because of cards like this. Whilst decks that are super strong, like Pikachu, Mewtwo, and Charizard, seem to be getting stronger. So I don't know. But anyways, also this card, by the time you get it online, your opponent might already have their Pokemon evolved anyway. So I don't really know how strong this card's going to be. Honestly, the only thing I think is actually really good about this card is the fact that it is a fighting type that has a very cheap attack for 80 damage. I think that's tremendous. And I would love to see if this gets put into fighting decks. Unfortunately, again, I don't know why it's weak to lightning. It's so frustrating. Like, all you had to do is make it weak to grass or something, or even water. I don't know. So just something so that you can put it in deck and you don't have to worry about the 2 top meta decks right now. Here it says Pidgeot EX. I didn't even notice this the first time I went through it. So apparently we're getting a Pidgeot EX. That is super cool. I cannot wait to see what they do with that, because the Pidgeot we have currently is already kind of good. Like, it's pretty decent. So I really wonder what the Pidgeot EX will be. And then we have, obviously, it does say Celebi EX here. So before it said Celebi, but here it says Celebi EX. So this will be really cool. Again, can't really comment on it too much. It'll probably be a grass type. And hopefully the grass type can get up the much needed bump that it requires to kind of get up in the meta. We have a new Execute. This execute is the same HP, I believe, as the other. It's 50 HP, but it has a different attack called Growth Spurt. Take a leaf, a grass type energy from your energy zone and attach it to this Pokemon. So it's another ramp card for this card specifically. Will it help it a lot? I'm not sure. Executor only needs one energy requirement anyways, both the Executor we currently have. I'm really hoping that we get a Alolan Executor, and that's why they're doing this. So Alolan Executor, if anybody watched my mini set wish list, I was hoping to get a Dragon type Alolan Executor, and usually Dragon types require different types of energy, and so I'm hoping they're doing this so you can play it in another energy type deck, so that you can not have to be forced to play grass types, but play the others and then ramp the grass energy onto your execute and then just place the other energies you're actually playing. But we're not sure. Snivy, this will evolve into something else. We don't know what it is, but obviously the evolution will be coming. I do believe this card that evolves into usually relies around things like poison, status effects basically, and with burn coming out, I'm not sure. I don't think it'll have burn, but it might have some type of attack multiplier that multiplies for each different status effect that your opponent's active Pokemon is affected by at the time. That would be pretty cool. This card as well, Morlo, I don't know how to pronounce it, but again, a basic that obviously evolves. Not enough information. Artwork you used from Sun and Moon, that is true. I wish I should have pulled it up, but it's fine. Dalmise, again, this is a rework of an older card from the paper TCG. 100 HP, Energy Whip. If this Pokemon has at least 3 extra grass type energies attached, it does 70 more damage. So basically, that's kind of like the Lapras, the regular Lapras. It seems garbage to me. I don't know. I can't think of anything to make it good. Another Magmar. I'm not sure why we have another Magmar. We already have one, and this does Fire Blast for 80, but discard 2 energy. And the other one, what does the other one do? I'm not sure, but this is also only 80 HP and still 2 energy requirement, and you got to detach 2. If it does 80 plus Blaine, that's 110. That still doesn't knock out Pikachu EX. I still don't think Magmar is played in Blaine decks. However, I am assuming they are coming out with another Magmar because they're coming out with a Magmar, which is the evolution of Magmar. So let's keep our fingers crossed, because they obviously don't show us all 80 cards in here. Larvesta, this card will evolve into a fire insect type. It's like a moth. I forget what it's exactly called. Usually it is a very strong fire attack, and we knew this was probably coming because on the artwork, you can see it right up here. You already have the Aerodactyl, you have the Mew. There's also a Mankey here. Does that mean we're getting a third Mankey? I'm not sure. And then we have a Lillipod or Lillipad. I forget what was this called? Lillipole or something like that. And then we already saw this guy's pre-evolution, and then obviously we might be getting a new Gyarados as well. But anyways, let's scroll down here. We're getting a Vaporeon. Okay, this card looks cool as hell. I love this card. Okay, hold on. Let me get into it. Okay, 120 HP Vaporeon with the ability Washout. As often as you like, during your turn, you may move a water energy from one of your bench Pokemon, water Pokemon, to your active water Pokemon. Okay, so it has to be water all around. That's important. But the coolest thing about this is as often as you like, which means this is kind of like a Lieutenant Surge, but controlled. So Lieutenant Surge, you can play the Lieutenant Surge. It takes all of your energy and puts it onto a Raichu. This is way more stronger than that. Because if you have a Blastoise in your active spot, you have 3 energy on him already. If you play, say, something like a Misty onto your Vaporeon, and it hits 3 energy onto your Vaporeon, During your turn, as often as you like, you can remove all those energies you just got from the Misty, not just one energy from the Misty, but all energies that your Misty just hit, you can move them right onto your Blastoise. So right away, I'm thinking Blastoise no matter what, because one, you can build up a card manually, then build up a card with Misty. It doesn't have to be the same card. You can spread them and then move them around as often as you like. This also works really well with something like a Starmie, because Starmie has 0 retreat. So if he's in the active, you attack, you take an attack, you don't get knocked out, you retreat, you bring in something new, and then you send all the water Pokemon, all the water energy to your new Pokemon. So you can have like 2 Starmies on the board. You can have 1 Starmie with 2 energy, attack, tank an attack, retreat, bring out your new Starmie, and then move all that energy with your Vaporeon. And then while it's in the back, you can even like heal it up with like potions or something like that. So that's pretty cool. I think, and honestly, I wish this wasn't Vaporeon. I wish this was Glaceon instead, because we already have a Vaporeon, and it's like the perfect opportunity. Why not just come out with a Glaceon? I'm not sure. And then here we have a Pikachu, 60 HP. This attack does 10 damage for each of your bench electric Pokemon. So basically, I don't know if this is just the same Pikachu we already have. I can't remember that Pikachu's attack at all. But if that's the case, that's pretty cool. So we're moving on. Dedenne, for anyone who doesn't know how to pronounce this, is Dedenne. He's a 60 HP electric Pokemon. Thundershock does 10 damage. Flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. This is not super strong. It's very weak HP, very weak attack, and you have to flip a coin for paralysis, which is in most cases all the time. However, Pinchirin is, I always forget how to pronounce that, needs 2, but it does more damage. I think it's 30, and has more HP. I don't know if this gets put right into Electric Dex or not. I'm not so sure. 60 HP is still pretty decent, though. There's not many things that can hit at 60 HP on the first turn, or the early turns anyways. And then we have the Marshadow, and there's actually a photo here. I don't know if this is actually it. Yes, it is. It has to be. So the Revenge attack. So it's not an EX, which is interesting. It's a Fighting type, which I wasn't sure if this was going to be a Fighting type or a Psychic type, because sometimes it could be either or. But I'm glad that it is a Fighting type, but it is weak to Psychic. If any of your Pokemon were knocked out by damage from an attack during your opponent's last turn, this attack does 60 more damage. Okay, so it does 40 plus 60 if you lost a Pokemon. Is this good? It's the same energy requirement as a Primeape who has damage on him to do 100 the same damage. Do we just play this in Primeape decks and have 100 attack damage attacker in Primeape, and because his HP is so low, when he does get knocked out, you now have a Marshadow online? That's very interesting. I feel, and he has one of his energy requirement is exactly Fighting, so he needs to be in a Fighting deck more often than not. This will be interesting. I'm not sure exactly where this fits. It feels very much and very similar to a Primeape, and so I'm not really sure where it fits, but interesting to cook with. So Tauros, I heard about this card already. I think it's super cool. It's a 100 HP and 2 energy retreat, just like the other Tauros, I believe. Except it has a fight and tackle attack for 3 colorless, 40 plus. So if your opponent's active Pokemon is a Pokemon EX, this attack does 80 more damage, so 120. So that's really cool, and it's a really interesting breakpoint. 120, you absolutely knock out a Pikachu. You absolutely knock out a Zapdos and Starmie EX with a Giovanni. If you have him in a Poison deck, which you can easily do, you can put him in a Koga deck with Weezin. The issue is, because it's colorless, there's no way to ramp energy on him, which means the 3 energy requirement is tough to do. And it's tough to do if he's your active Pokemon, because you have to either tank and then hope you get 3 energy on him before he's knocked out, or you have to try to retreat him, which is hard to do because it's 2 energy. So I'm not sure if this card will be meta relevant, even though it could knock out a lot of very strong Pokemon we see in meta decks. I'm not sure if the cost is worth the attack. I don't know. It is worth the attack, but like, because you can't ramp, like, it's, how do you get to it? How do you get that energy on in time to make it super duper valuable? And it also gets knocked out by a Pikachu with a Giovanni, by the way. So there's that. Okay, so now we're getting into some supporters. During your opponents, this supporter is called Blue, which is, you know, the game's red and blue, if you don't know. So we have Leaf as well, and because we have Blue and Leaf, I could guarantee you we're also getting red. So expect to see the red card as well. Not red card, the card, but red, the supporter card. Okay, so Blue. During your opponent's next turn, all your Pokemon take minus 10 damage from attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. So this is interesting. So yeah, this will work very well in decks that already like to tank. Okay, so whatever deck you're trying to tank with, maybe Weezing decks, Wigglytuff decks, Executor decks, Dragonite decks that like to play tanky Pokemon. This also might. This is also good. Not that you see Articuno like a crazy amount, but it's interesting to note that if you play this, your Articuno, when your opponent's Articuno attacks, your bench Pokemon won't be hit. It also the same thing for Dragonite, but I mean, how much does it really stop a Dragonite? I'm not so sure. Dragonite's not really that much of a threat in the current meta, or even that much in general. I'm not sure if this will be a really good card or not. I don't think it will. I don't think you want to waste a turn on 10 damage. I'll have to think about the math for certain breakpoints in certain decks when facing certain decks. Because, like, this doesn't even do anything against a Charizard, right? Like, it still does 190 damage. It still takes out any Pokemon in the game. So, I'm not so sure. This should have been, like, your active takes 60 less or something crazy. Like, 30 less even. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure if I like this card. Leaf, supporter card. During this turn, the retreat cost of your active Pokemon is 2 less. Okay, so basically like an X-Speed. And X-Speed reduces your retreat cost by 1. Leaf reduces it by 2. This card will probably also be played in decks that are very tanky and like to stall. Most often or not, those big HP Pokemon have that can stall very well and tank very well, require a huge retreat cost. So again, those Wigglypuff, Weezing, Executor decks possibly. Yeah, I don't think you're playing this with Snorlax. I don't think you care. I don't think you give a damn. You know what? Actually, this might be really cool to pair with Victory Bell. Victory Bell is always that one Pokemon that the ability seems so broken, but because it has to be in your active spot, and it has a 2 retreat cost, it's super hard to pair it with something that, like, basically when you get your Victory Bell in the front, you want to bring a basic into their active, retreat it, and then bring the Pokemon you actually want to attack with, right? Maybe this card allows you to do that a lot better. So when I get this card, that's probably the first card I pair it with to see how it works. But again, sometimes you have, like, how do you get the Victory Bell in and out in the same turn. It's almost like maybe like a Weezin Victory Bell deck. I don't know. But anyways, I think that's all the cards. Okay, here we go. Some were visible in the trailer that we're unsure whether we'll get a card. So Executor, uh, Lipard, that's the one. Magikarp, Gyarados, Volcarona, obviously because he evolves from the other Pokemon we were talking about. Mankey, that's why I'm thinking we're going to get another Mankey. Superior, yes, we know that. Salandit, Rapidash. Will we get a new Rapidash? Imagine Rapidash EX. Yo, that would be sick. Stone Jorner. I think this is a crazy, like, tanky fighting type. I hope we get that. I don't know who Behemoth is, but this is pretty cool. I'm very excited. And again, this is only a fraction of the amount of cards that we're actually getting. We're getting a total of 80. I think this is probably a 5-star. This is probably, I want to say 3-star right now. Even though it looks like a 5-star card, I guarantee it's not a 5-star card. I'm hoping, again, the Execute evolves into an Alolan Executor and allows you to have a Dragon type. Pidgeotto effect to be confirmed. If this is true, that's super cool. Celebi EX, again, probably a grass type. Snivy, he evolves into Superior, the one that we just talked about. Again, this evolves. We're not sure what it'll look like. Dolmize, I think, is absolute garbage. Magmar, absolute garbage. Hopefully evolves into Magnetar. Larvesta, this is the one that evolves into Volcarona. Vaporeon, amazing card. I'm going to be testing with this a lot more than any other card probably. I really wish this was weak to grass and not electric, but it is what it is. Pikachu, Circle Circuit. I'm pretty sure this card already exists, to be honest. I guess we're just getting a new variant. Dedenne, I'm not really sure. Very low attack, very low HP. Not sure if it'll be any good or if it goes into electric decks. I'm not sure. I don't think it does. But anyways, Marshadow, pretty cool. Don't know where its place is, but be interesting to test with. Tauros, again, I think this is one of those cards where I'm going to put at a 3.5 to 4-star. This card, it looks so strong, man, and I really hope it is. But honestly, it's that 3 energy requirement on a basic Pokemon that only has 100 HP. How do you get those energy on it before it gets knocked out? It has to be on the bench. What else do you pair it with? But I would love to see if this card is going to be strong and teched in 2 meta decks that we're currently playing in actual tournaments and stuff like that. Will this be put into maybe a Mewtwo deck? Will this maybe be put into a Charizard deck? I don't know. Because you put that in, you have an additional Pokemon to have or will it not be put in any of those decks? Definitely not Pikachu, because Pikachu wants only electric. But maybe it gets put into a water deck to have that additional tech so you can get that one shot. Maybe you put it in something like a Wigglytuff Arbok deck, or you put it into a fighting deck. Just something that requires low energy, and then you can put all the rest of the energy on Tauros. So that'll be pretty cool. Supporter Blue, not really sure. I don't think it'll be played unless it's played in tanky decks. And then not just that, but like, I don't know, like minus 10 damage. Like, it's so hard to math out whether it's making a humongous difference when you have it in the deck versus when you don't. Like, how often do you go, oh, I wish I had 10 extra. I was getting hit by 10 less. Unless it's supposed to be meant to be like a direct counter to Giovanni, I'm not sure. Leaf, pretty cool. Honestly, I think it's kind of a... I still think this is kind of like a weak effect for a once per turn card in a supporter. I'm almost sure at some point this card is going to be absolutely power crept. We're going to get cards like Switch that just allow us to switch a Pokemon without having to retreat at all. There's Pokemon in the game that aren't even strong, or in the paper TCG that aren't even considered strong, that when they're on your bench, they have an ability. Like there's a Dodrio that has the ability, I forget what it's called, but basically your active Pokemon has 2 less retreat cost. So it's like, well, that I'm sure that ability is going to come out on a Pokemon at some point. But anyways, I think overall this is really cool. I cannot wait for these to come out. I'm going to open every single pack. Oh yeah, see, here's the Stone Yogger guy right here. Stone Yorgner. This guy right here. Right here, if you don't see him. He is going to be a very high HP Pokemon if he comes out. I can guarantee it, and it'll be really cool. Probably a super high retreat cost too. And so yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm super duper excited. Again, can I see anything else in the artwork that we didn't see? There's the Rapidash here. I can't tell if that's a Magikarp. There's the Executor. It's not a Alolan Executor though. But it'd be weird if we got a third Executor that wasn't a Alolan. And then here's I think this is Floatris or something like that. Okay, and that's it. So pretty cool. Anyways, as always, I hope y'all like this breakdown of it. I needed to open up this website, check it out. It's PokemonZone.com, by the way, for those who are wondering. And yeah, you can go check it out there, or leave a comment below what you think and what decks do you think some of these cards will go into that I may have missed and work really well in those decks. Anyways, as always, keep cooking.